Long time no see. We are back here in Xplane 11. Sorry, I'm messing with my mic here. Back here in Xplane 11. Trying new aircraft today. We are flying the Tolis A319, Airbus A319 variant, United livery. We are here in Phoenix today, and we're just doing a really short flight over to San Diego. It's right at about an hour airtime. So nice short little flight here. I just got this plane the other day on sale through the Black Friday sale on the Xplane org. Got about $20 knocked off the price. So they've made some improvements to the flight models and whatnot on this plane. So it actually feels really nice. I flew it the other day. Everything seems to be working really well on it. So definitely pleased with the purchase. It's very similar to the A320. Obviously, it's a little bit smaller. So you have to take that into consideration. The winds are a little bit more hectic with it, but it's really not that big of a difference, to be quite honest. But all in all, it's a solid aircraft. Definitely pleased with it. So let's go ahead and jump into the flight deck here and get everything up and running here. So we'll go ahead. Do we have, it says we have external power. Go ahead and cut the batteries on. Turn that on. Go ahead and set these to nav so the IRS can go ahead and start aligning. Actually, let's put the fuel in first before we do that. All right, so they're doing its boot thing here. We'll let that do its thing here for just a second. So go ahead and turn these up here. Make sure I can actually see what I'm doing. And not sure why they have the brightness down by default like that, but we'll just go with it for now. Okay. And here, turn that on, put the E-cams on bright. And we can flip our radios on. All right, so yeah, I've got the align on pretty quick. No, we don't have to wait very long, so we can go ahead and go to initialization here. So we are in Phoenix, and we are flying to San Diego. And we go ahead and align the IRS here. Today we are United 7488 as usual, and that's the wrong spot for that. Right there. All right, cruise and cost index. So let's go ahead and pull our load sheet up here. Cruising today is 380 with a cost index of 12. So 380, cost index of 12. Leave that blank. All right. Now we don't have any ATC on right now. I'm on the VATSIM network, but there's no ATC online, so I'm not gonna have to worry about communicating with them today. So should get out of here a little bit quicker, but no big deal. Let's go ahead and pull our screen up here. Okay, so this is our fuel page here. Let's go ahead and see what they want us for fuel. So block fuel, 6.6-ish or so, 6.6, 6.7. Close enough. Fuel that, verify it down here. It is on board already. And then for our zero fuel weight, right now we're at 54.1. We need to be at 56.9, so we just need to add a little bit here. Passengers, 141. That is pretty much full flight. That puts the zero fuel rate at 56.8. Pretty darn close. We just need to add about 100 kilos here, so we'll just do that. 56.96. Close enough. Why that center of gravity looks good. All that looks good. Don't need any ground services. Obviously, we're not running with faults. Just want to make sure all this is still good to go here. Okay. So fuel is loaded. I think I needed to hit that. This is what I needed to do. Okay. Sorry, pull this back up here. I'm just getting used to this airplane because all this is automatically done on the flight factor A320. So you actually have to manually put this stuff in. So our zero fuel weight is 56.9. So we'll do 56.9 slash 56.9. And then our fuel block, once again, 6.6. Perfect. Extra fuel 3.5, so plenty of extra fuel going into San Diego. So no worries there, just in case we have to divert or anything like that, which hopefully we won't have to. Alright. Let's go ahead and go to our flight plan here. Plan our departure. Let's pull up Phoenix weather real quick just to take a peek. And winds are 120 at 3. So not too shabby there. So let me pull up my charts here actually. It's been a while since I've flown, other than the other day, so I'm a little slow right now. So with that, we are probably going to take off from 8. So in these kind of situations, just to verify, because sometimes these airports will run certain operations regardless of the winds, or if the winds are relatively innocuous like that. So what I'll do is I'll pull up what's going on in the real world via FlightAware just to see where the departures and arrivals. So they are actually departing west. So that means, given our position here, we are going to actually depart on 26. Looks like they're actually taking 25 right. In real life, I really don't want to taxi that far, so just for the purpose of time, we're just going to depart out of 26. It's the Firebird departure. Right here, Firebird 1. Close you out. Yeah, Firebird 1 and then Mohawk transition, which is right here. Perfect. After Mohawk, I think it may just be... Yeah, we're hopping on an airway, so the J2 airway. Where's Julia? Thank you. J2, and then directly from J2, we're going to go to Hogs. And that's the transition into Lucky 1. Make sure I get the spelling. I think it's H-O-G-G-Z. Yep. Okay. Did it not? What just happened? Did it not take it? Or am I just J2 and then direct to Hogs? There should be some other routes in there. Okay. Well, no, it's got JT right there. Okay, so maybe that's really weird. Usually there's some other waypoints that'll click in there. I can pull it up here actually. So J2 is right? It's J4. Yeah, so we should be departing like out this way, then we'll hit J2 going that way. So Hogs is right here. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. J2 does go directly to Hogs, so as long as we're following the proper path, and that's all that matters. Okay, then Hogs is our transition into San Diego, so I can almost guarantee it's going to be 27, 99 times out of 100. They're flying into 27, but we're going to pull the weather in San Diego just to make sure. Yeah, 230 at 21. It's kind of gusty, but 27 is going to be the proper runway. And it's a localizer, so that means that we'll get horizontal reference, so it'll line us up with the runway, but there's not going to be a glide slope on it. So it's essentially a visual approach. And then it should be lucky 1. And that's it. Okay, so Hogs is not the actual transition then. Because it's Hogs to lucky 1, there's no via here, so keep that blank. Oh, wait a minute, there it is. Hogs. Lucky 1. Okay. Oh, I see what it wants. Lindy is going on to 27. That's the runway approach. So let's. Yep, localizer 27. Lindy's right here. So you go Lindy, you hit this, you hit the localizer, and then you fly straight in. And again, there's no ILS. There is RNAV, but we're not going to RNAV into it. We're just gonna use the localizer for today. Go ahead and get all this in here just so I have the charts ready and available. And then we are taking the Firebird one. Okay, so we're going to insert that. And there we go. So Mohawk, Hogs, and then we hit Manners, Cibola, top of climb. We really hit our top of climb and top of descent that quickly. Interesting. Does it look like on here? Why can't I? Let's take a look here real quick. I just want to make sure that the altitude makes sense. Okay, so coming out of Phoenix, we're going to turn here, go there. Sounds real professional. There's Firebird, Judith, Mohawk, Hog. It looks like our top of climb right there, and then our top of descent. I don't see it. It says our top of descent is right before Karma. Maybe that's our descent there. Where's the top of climb then? Interesting. Okay, well, we'll figure it out once we're in the air. We should be able to get up to 380. It's not like it's that short of a flight. We'll just keep our eye on it. We'll keep an eye on the restrictions as well. Okay, so routing is complete here. Just make sure this took here. There's there's Lindy there, and that'll take us straight into 27 in San Diego. Perfect. Let's go ahead and go to our initialization page. Sorry, our performance page. And we got to pull our menu back up because this is not automatically done like it is on. No. I don't know why I did that. Okay. So we're doing flaps 1. See, that's with this, they put the flex temps really high. I mean, that's fine. It's just the D rate on the takeoff. So, all right. So V1 is going to be 148, of course. Okay, let's try this again. It's really annoying. Okay. Okay, V1 148, VR is going to be 148 at rotate, and then V2 is 151. Flaps, we're going to go 1, up 0.2. And then we're flexing to 61. By default, I usually put 45 in here. It's pretty standard because those are relatively high V speeds. The runways can handle it. This thing will tell you, I mean, it's not going to let you run off the runway. It's going to be just a little bit longer of a roll off of the runway, and 2.6 is their longest runway here, so it's not going to be an issue. I just like to get off the ground quicker usually, but that's fine. Okay, so pre-flight is complete. Let's go ahead, and actually I needed to turn those on, beacon light on, armor emergency lights, no smoking, seatbelts. Strobe goes to auto, and let's go ahead and fire up the APU. Go ahead and turn the fuel pumps on. Start, turn the APU bleed on, and then overhead panel looks good. We will cut ground power once we have the APU up and running. Let's grab our altimeter setting. Didn't grab that. I had it up before and I just didn't key it in. 2983. 2983 should match over there. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and brief the departure real quick. Firebird 1, RNAV departure, top altitude 8,000 feet, just for realism. Pretend that ATC is giving us clearance here. That is our altitude there out of the SID. Once we hit that, usually ATC would clear us up to a higher altitude at that point. Once we hit that, we'll just go straight to 380. I probably just should put 380 in now, but for the sake of realism, we'll just do 8,000 and just climb if you get the actual SID for now. Okay, so we'll climb out of Firebird 1, make our way over to Firebird right over here. So we're going to be departing on 26 going west. So we're actually going to be going this way. We're going to hit JUTAC, Weddell, and then straight to Firebird. Just double check that. JUTAC, Weddell, perfect. And then to Firebird. And that gets us out of Phoenix. Alright, so pre-flight is basically complete here. Let's pull our APU just to make sure it is available. It is available, so we can go ahead and cut ground power there. There's the bus ties transferring over. And we are essentially ready to go here. It's pretty loud. We need to get to runway 26, so we need to push and face left. Better push back.
Ground to cockpit. Please show me where you want to go.
Perfect.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
I don't know why that turned itself off like that. That was weird. Constraints back on, go back to nav. Sorry, arc mode. Proper terrain on, that is really yellow. Turn that down a little bit. Yeah, so this southwest area of the United States, obviously there's a lot of mountains in and around the area. So to our left,
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
got all of that. Obviously, we're going to avoid that. I don't know why it does that. It's rolling me back on its own. It did that the other day. There it goes. It's really strange. I guess I should have set the parking brake out, because to get rid of the gate, you have to set the parking brake. I guess I should have set it back, because I started rolling back by myself. It's really weird. And go ahead and switch this over to engines, just so we get ready to start things up. As they start pushing us.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake. Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Alrighty, so we are pushing now. We'll go ahead and get the starters over to the start position there. Click spots are finicky. There we go. And we can watch it down here. Don't know why that. What did I hit? Oh. So GT rising and 2 rising. Everything looks normal for now. Alright, good start, engine 2. Go ahead and fire up engine number 1. That sound is the PTU bark, or the PTU transfer. It's hydraulic transfers. It's the sound you hear. It's an Airbus thing.
Operation complete. Go ahead and set the parking brake.
Okay, park brake sets.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Okay, both engines looking good. Go ahead and set our brakes to max RTO and our ground spoilers, just in case there's a rejected takeoff. Switch the engines back to the normal position. Why? That's what I wanted to lessen.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Perfect. Go ahead and taxi lights on. So the strobe lights should be cutting on. We'll go ahead and turn them on now. And actually, we need to get over to Unicom. Almost forgot. God, the click spots on here, I tell you what. 122.8. And we will just squawk that. Alright, should be ready to go here. Let's see, taxi. We'll take Sierra and then Bravo to 26. Sierra's going to be over there. And we should probably set our flaps. Break us off. Advise the cabin there. Takeoff config is normal, so we're good to go there. Sierra should be right over here. We'll hang a left and then take pretty much an immediate right onto Bravo. Cockpit textures are not as good as I think they should be in this airplane. The outside textures look pretty good, but it's not quite up to what the A320 is at this point. The brakes are pretty aggressive on this thing. Let's check there, no traffic. We're kind of giving our own taxi instructions here since there's no ATC online. Okay, so Bravo is going to be right here, so we're going to turn this way. So we're on Bravo here. We'll take this all the way down, take a left, and that'll put us on runway 26 for our departure. A little bit faster than that. And in my opinion, the sounds aren't nearly as good as the flight factors are with the BSS sound pack on the flight factor. I don't think it's nearly as good. Should go and turn those on as well. Right, I'm gonna go and turn the wing lights on. This scenery here in Phoenix is Mr. X's Phoenix scenery. It is free, and it's pretty darn good for free. My chart's up here. Okay, so we're going to take a left on Bravo 13, which should be our right here. Start slowing us down here a little bit. Make sure there's no traffic incoming. There is not. And clear that way. Throttle up about 40% or so. And cut our lights on here before I forget. Alright, flex sets. Airspeed is alive. Knots. Okay, V1 rotates. And Alright, set climb thrust. Oops, wrong button. Bring that nose down a little bit. We gotta pick up some airspeed here. And you know what I forgot to do? I didn't turn the APU off. Autopilot, let it do its thing. And go ahead and pull the flaps in. Engine sounds could use a little bit of work. My opinion, of course. Alright, go ahead and cut those off there. Cut those lights off. Yes. Sorry, I almost forgot to clear us past 8,000 feet. It's going to go ahead and take us up to 380. Turn that down a little bit. This sounds really good. Like when you're behind the wing like this, it's really, really bassy. That sounds relatively accurate in my opinion, because anytime you're sitting behind the wing like that, you're gonna get the full brunt of the engines. Just crawling around these mountains here. So now we're still on the Firebird departure, so we're heading direct Firebird waypoint right now. Sort of hazy. I think that's just the game, or actually how it is. I think the weather is supposed to be tuned to what it's like in real life, or at least as close to it as possible. So where does it have our top of climb at? Okay. This is what I was looking for before. So yeah, top of climb is going to be right here. We're only going to be at our actual cruising altitude for maybe 15-20 miles, and then we're going to start down almost immediately. Go ahead and cut the seat belts. Yeah, so plane is modeled really nicely. It's not quite as expensive as the flight factor. I think the textures have been improved upon. There's just some little things that aren't quite as good. You can just, when you pull this up and compare the two, like, you can definitely tell the flight factor's cockpit texturing is definitely a little bit more high quality, but it's also an FPS monster. It just absolutely, it doesn't destroy FPS, but I definitely probably get at least 10 more FPS in this compared to the flight factor. But I do feel like the flight factor is still the much better aircraft. I mean, the computer screen here alone on the flight factor makes it better in my opinion, just because you can pull your charts up in web browser and whatnot right here in the flight deck and not have to switch windows. But I do think the flight modeling is slightly better. Tolis updated this one, so this one feels pretty good. It feels pretty similar. I do feel like the flight factor feels heavier, probably for good reason, because it's an A320, so it should feel heavier. But this plane's been modeled very well. They've definitely made some improvements to it. So it's a solid aircraft if you have Xplane, or you got it on sale and you're looking for a solid Airbus, and you don't want to pay a whole lot, then this is a solid aircraft. I think I got it on sale for 50. I think it goes for 70. If you want to shell out an extra 20 bucks from the 70, I would recommend getting the flight factor, in my opinion. I think it's a little bit more polished, and I think the quality is better on it. And like I said, the EFB here on the side definitely makes it worth it, for me at least. The only thing it's missing, it doesn't have failures, so if that's your thing, if you like to program failures, I don't believe flight factor's programmed that in yet. And then it's missing weather radar, which is kind of a big deal. With this one, I'm pretty sure it's working. Am I flipping on here? There's no weather, obviously, to show up, but I think the weather works on this. The only plane that I really fly in this game that I've had to use it on is the Zebo 737. But I mean, it's standard Airbus. Like I said, there's almost no difference as far as procedures in this thing compared to the Flight Factory 320. It's the same family. I believe in real life, if you're rated for the A319 or A320, then you can switch back and forth. I think the A330 is a little bit different. It's heavier, and there's a few little differences, but I think A319, A320 is all the same. so we should be in San Diego in short order here. They added these little pop-ups here too, which is, it's a nice feature. I mean, if you don't like to scroll in like this, I mean, either way, it doesn't really matter. But passing Firebird now, we'll hit these markers here, and then once we hit this little blue arrow here, that's our top of climb. And like I said, top of descent is pretty much immediately right after it. I'd say it's about 20 miles or so, maybe 40. And we'll start down towards San Diego. San Diego's a nice approach. There's some buildings right off of runway 27. They usually get proximity warnings on it, but we'll clear it with no problem. Could be a scenery issue as well with those, but not too worried about it. There's also some minor details that this cockpit does not have that the Flight Factor has. Like if you push this little red button in the Flight Factor, it cuts off the autopilot, just like in real life. Usually it's just easier just to click it here and it's not an issue. The window doesn't open on this. Just little things like that, little details is the reason why the Flight Factor is more expensive. But like I said, if this plane does have anything on Flight Factor, is that the FPS is pretty buttery smooth on it. Like I don't have any issues with FPS when I fly this thing, and that may be because the cockpit textures aren't quite as high quality. Maybe that's what it is. But like I said, there's some stutter there. I would take the A320 over this. Probably 10 times out of 10, if I'm being honest. But like I said, if you're on a budget and you're looking for a solid Airbus, then this plane is not a bad purchase at this point. Probably won't even get like any sort of drink service or anything like that. It's such a short flight. It's basically a commuter flight. Supposedly they're coming out with a CRJ. I think it's a CRJ 900. One of their NG models, the next generation. So I believe SSG is coming out with it. It's supposed to come out next year sometime. That may be something that I get, depending on release and reviews and whatnot. See how it releases. SSG makes a 747 that's so-so in this game, from what I've heard. I don't own it, but from what I've seen, it's definitely missing a few things. And they make a Embraer, I think the 170 or 190, that apparently the systems are pretty good on it, but the modeling isn't that good as far as like visuals. So we'll see how that goes, but I've always wanted a good commuter plane, like a CRJ or a better Embraer than what's out there. Preferably a CRJ, honestly. I feel like those are more widely used for like your little hop flights, your little 30-minute, 45-minute commutes, even little flights like this. You probably wouldn't even see an A319 making this flight. It would most likely be a CRJ making this flight. Looking for something short and sweet where you get up, maybe cruise at like 20, 25,000 and then get right back down. That's what your CRJs are usually for. They can do longer distances, but most of your major airlines will use those express type of aircrafts for those little small hops. Pretty smooth here. We got a direct headwind here, about 84 knots. It's not the worst. The other day I had a crosswind coming in on me of over 100 knots, and it was like legitimately like moderate to severe turbulence, which XP Realistic does a fairly good job at modeling it. But yeah, this will slow you down a little bit. Your airspeed's pretty high. When you have a headwind, your airspeed gets higher. It's always going to be higher than your ground speed, but you can see the ground speed. It's only 370 knots, but we are still on the climb, so that's part of it. We're already at Mach 7.8, climbing at about 1,000 feet a minute. Anytime you have a headwind, naturally it's going to slow you down. Tailwinds are better. I always seem to get a headwind. I never get the tailwinds. So yeah, overall, this is a good quality aircraft. Like I said, I think it's modeled pretty darn well. Like if you're coming over from like FSX or something like that, then this is obviously a huge step up. But like I'm getting like no stutters at all when I pan. And even on like the Zebo or on the Flight Factor A320, like when you look out the window is when I get tiny stutters. It's where my FPS drops from like 60 or 65 down to like 50. Like you lose about 10 to 15 frames. With this, it's pretty darn smooth. And that's what you're looking for, especially when you're flying, because 60 FPS is, in my opinion, the gold standard. I think any higher than that, you're really not going to see a huge difference, but anything less than 60 FPS, you're really going to notice. I'd say the minimum you have to have for this simulator to work well for you is 30, and that's my opinion. I know some people get less than that and they still use it, but I think anything less than 30 and you need to look at upgrading your hardware. But I think what you want to shoot for is about 60, because it makes you feel like you're actually flying. There's no stuttering or anything like that. Just a little bit of turbulence, nothing you can't handle. So we probably want to go ahead and start planning our arrival, because it's going to get up on us pretty quick. So let's pull up San Diego charts here. And we're lucky 1 RNAV arrival. We're coming from level, I believe. Right. Tower Sophie, Campo. What am I looking at? We're over here. I don't know why I'm thinking we're coming from the north. We're coming from this way. We're coming from the east. So yeah, Hogs here, Cibola, Karma, Sophie, Campo. So this is the path we're following here. These are our altitude restrictions. It should already be programmed in. So Sophie, we need to be between 260 and 240. And it has us at 260 with the constraint in there. That is perfect. Campo has us at 227, which is right in between where we need to be, so the computer's doing its job. And we'll of course monitor the airplane to make sure it's actually doing that. We're going to monitor airspeed on the way down, just in case we end up getting a tailwind or something like that. Then we follow the path all the way down until we hit Lucky transition. Then we hit Lindy here. And once we hit Lindy, we need to be at or above 5,000 feet. at 210 knots. And then from there we go to VITA, and then it's basically localizer slash visual from there. From VITA, we go straight to O'Kane and CG, which should be right here. So hit VITA, and then this is our actual 27 arrival. Follow the localizer all the way in. This approach, we have to do a go around, climb to 2,500 on a heading at 275, which is basically runway heading. Then we hit MZB-BOR. Normally you would hold there, but if we do miss approach, we're just going to circle around and do it again. We're not going to hold. So that is the arrival procedure there. San Diego's one of the most straightforward airports in the U.S. as far as major airports are concerned. It's a single runway. It'll just taxi out to the left. Bravo is basically the only taxiway, and then these are your terminals here. This is all GA ramps, and then your cargo ramps over here, but we are not cargo, we're GA, so we're going to exit to the left on Bravo, and then just find a parking spot from there. So San Diego is super easy to depart and arrive into. It's not like JFK or Chicago where there's 20 runways and 1,000 taxiways. It's a very easy airport to get in and out of. So that is our arrival. You can actually go ahead and did I just start my descent by accident? No. What did I hit? Okay. Anyway, approach. Let's go ahead and pull weather back up for San Diego. So we can have this plugged in. So right now the altimeter is 29090. That is pretty darn close to standard. Temperature, winds. Temperature right now, we'll say 15. Winds 26013. I already forgot the temperature. I guess we said 15. 26013 is what we said. Yep. And we'll put our decision height. I usually just put 300 in. 300 feet we should know if we're going to proceed with the landing or not. So that's pretty much it. Flaps full. Our approach speed will be about 145 knots. And we're in final localizer 27. There's the ILS localizer frequency there. It's already plugged in. I don't know why the course says 77. Yeah, 110.9. That's... Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. That doesn't look right. We're going to keep an eye on that because that's not correct. That should say 110.9. I don't know why the course says 70. So the course should be the 275. We'll keep an eye on that. Worst case, we can visual it in. We don't need the localizer. The weather is fairly decent. Oh, there is light rain actually. Okay, there are some clouds. So there's a little bit of light rain. 2,500, so we're actually going to get some clouds coming in. Keep an eye on that then. We're probably going to need a localizer then. And I have had issues in Xplane arriving into San Diego where like literally like it's taking me on the completely wrong path, so we'll monitor that. It should be updating that. Interesting. We'll keep an eye on it. So coming up on top of climb now. I'm going to go ahead and plug in our bottom altitude here. It's going to be 5,000 on the arrival, so I'm going to go ahead and go. And we're not going to hit the button quite yet. It should be a managed descent. Yeah, we're about 20 miles from it. Bumped around a little bit here. Let's see, there we go. That's a little bit better. So 110.9, that is correct. Course 211, I don't like that. The course isn't correct. But 110.9 is correct. Course should be 275, but it could also be the course. Actually, now that I think about it, could be the next waypoint. So I'm not going to mess with it. As long as we have the right frequency dialed in, we'll worry about the course if it becomes an issue at that point. See the wind's knocking us around a little bit. Oop. Hit X by accident. Since we have the headwind, I'm going to wait until we're right on our spot here before I start us down. Go ahead and turn these seat belts back on though. That should have been on the whole time. Start down. We have a headwind, but let's see how far down they want to drop the nose. I may have to put some speed brakes on, but I think we should be okay. And so once the little dot lines up with the line there, we'll go down a little bit farther. There it goes. Just to get us on that descent profile. Timed it pretty nice. So 2,700 feet a minute. That's what we're doing. Just want to make sure it doesn't really get above 3,000. That's a pretty steep descent. Just keep an eye on the airspeed. We don't want to get into the red or anything. But we got to adhere to this restriction here. We got to be at 26,000 feet here. So that's what the plane's trying to get us to do right now, is to get us to 26,000 feet by this waypoint at Sophie. We're going to go and set our auto brakes. We're going to put auto brakes on low since the runway most likely is going to be wet. So you don't want medium or higher auto brakes because you could run the risk of skidding. So we go with lower auto brakes to prevent that. We're a smaller airplane, so it shouldn't be an issue. And it should be relatively straight in. We're basically on the heading now. Just 27 is where we're landing, so we'll take a slight right turn once we get closer in, but it's pretty much straight in approach. Nothing too fancy. So we're 3,200 feet a minute now, so it's not like we're in a nosedive or anything like that. It's a pretty steep rate of descent, but it's not anything that we can't handle. .76 is where I want us at. So speed's looking good, actually. It's just a steep rate of descent. Yeah, so we gotta be at 26,000, and we should be right on it by the time we pass Sophie. And from there, 23,000. 15,000, so on and so forth. It's really loud, the environmental sound there. All right, so we're gonna level off here at 260, but we should be starting down again relatively soon because we're on an altitude constraint right there. Throttles go back to idle. See the engines rolling back there. And we should be starting down again. So you know you're in an Airbus, you know you're on your descent profile when this little magenta dot is lined up right here. That means you're right on where you need to be. So you'll see a vertical speed adjust as this moves around here. So we were at like 3,300 feet a minute. Now we're 900 feet to 1,000 feet a minute. Anytime this goes above, that means you're just going to level off a little bit more until it drops down a little bit. Now, if this is below you, then you're going to have to manage your speed, but you're going to have to get down quicker. Especially if there's like a hard altitude constraint, and when you're out in the southwest area or a lot of parts of California where there's a lot of mountains, the altitude restrictions are there for a pretty damn good reason, so you don't slam into a mountain. At this altitude, that's not an issue, but when you're closer, you need to adhere to those constraints. So, making our way in nicely. Like I said, it's a really straight in, straightforward approach. Nothing complex or complicated about it. What? I never even connected to VATSIM. Just now realized that. Yeah, it might not be worth it at this point. I mean, there's no ATC on. What the hell with it? I completely forgot to connect. Wouldn't have mattered, there's no ATC on anyway, it just tracks the flight. I should be filed. I'll check Batastic here again in just a sec to make sure that my filing went through, but it should be good. Yeah, because I put Unicom in, but I didn't connect a Squawk box. Alright, so I'm gonna hit some more restrictions up here. That's what the plane is trying to slow down here just to get to the speed restrictions. Refresh this, see if... Yeah, here I am. Yeah, flight plan is filed and everything. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I just didn't log in. Like I said, it doesn't matter. There's no ATC on anyway, so... Whatever. Alright, so now we're back on a steep ass descent. 3,700 feet a minute. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of speed here. It wants me at 15,000 feet by helix. So when we look at the charts, it's, you know, you kind of to understand where we're at. Helix right here, yeah. So between 15,000 and 12,000 at 270 knots. So, and the reason is usually because there's a lot of more traffic coming into San Diego, and then you've got terrain to deal with usually. So the weather radar is working. You can see the little splotches here, and I believe it's a little bit of rain just outside of San Diego. That's like out in the ocean, basically. But we'll keep an eye on that. We don't want really this to be over the airport. Like I said, that's pretty light, so we'll keep an eye on it just to make sure that there's not any issues here. I gotta switch our altimeter off here. It's 29090. Just gonna confirm that. Yep. That's what I put in earlier. Yep. So see, we're a little bit over speed here. If you look at the, we're supposed to be right here. We're creeping up on the red there, so I'm going to, well, we're leveling off here actually, so that should reduce our speed. Yeah, so there it goes. Because the ground speed was like 350 knots. We're coming up on 12,000. So that's slow us down there. And our next waypoint should put us at about 10,000 here once we hit Jack. So that's the constraint here. So that doesn't necessarily mean that's where the computer's going to put us at, because notice we're at 12,000 and the constraint is 12,000 to 15,000. So they're basically putting us at the bottom end of that constraint. Go ahead and throw our landing lights on. And our runway turn off, takeoff light, wing light. So we're coming up on 10,000 feet. There's the rain. Oh, something on the radar. Down here, we should be below 250 knots once we get below 10,000 feet. We're right at 10,000 feet right now, so the plane's slowing itself down here, sitting right at idle engine, so engines are barely churning just enough. San Diego Tower is online, so we'll get some ATC on the way in, it looks like. So 118.3. Let's go ahead and tune him in here. Okay, so that's ready to go. Once we're getting closer in. We should probably pull ATIS 134.8. Let's do that. Let's do the right thing here. Just to make sure there's not a runway change.
Evan. Notices to landing. Have system in use.
Okay, so landing departing runway 27. So we're still on 27 here. We're doing localizer approach. Okay. So let's tune him back in 118.3. Perfect. Okay. So we're at 8,000 feet here. You can see we've got all kinds of terrain to deal with here. And you can see that rain is coming right up on the airport here. So I'm going to try to beat out that bad part of it. The only problem is that we don't have any ATC to vector us around or anything like that. So probably going to end up landing this thing no matter what. So I'm actually going to flip that off. I'm going to keep the weather radar on. I'm not concerned about terrain more than I am about the weather at this point. Still about 25 miles from the airport. That storm is gonna keep an eye on it once we get it closer. So we're going to come up on 5,000. our approach chart up here. I'm actually going to plug in 2,500 now. Little storm cell's right over the airport. So we pull up, let's pull up our radar just to see the winds. I mean, it's not very windy, so really, as long as the winds aren't crazy, you don't have any wind shear. It's gone to moderate rain. Cloud layers are still about the same. Ceiling's 2,500 feet. AGL says visibility 2.5 miles. That's usually within most limits. That's what's going to be the one thing is just going to be visual. You know, as long as you lose sight of the runway, then you're fine. I mean, even if the rain's heavy enough, it's really the pilot's discretion, or you know, a lot of these airlines have company policies where you can or can't do in certain situations. I'm going to go ahead and bring out flaps here, flaps 1. Here, we're going to basically be on a 27 heading. I'm going to go ahead and activate the localizer, which we just attached onto, so we're good there. Turn that down a little bit. Love X be realistic, but you really got to go and adjust the sound sometimes. Another set of flaps there. We're going to be tuning the tower here momentarily. Let's go and do that now. Lindbergh Tower, good afternoon. United 7488 on localizer 10 mile final 27.
United 7488, Lindbergh Tower, wind 2406, runway 27, clear to land.
Clear to land 27, United 7488. Alright, so that's our landing clearance here. Let's just go ahead and make sure, okay, approach is already set, good to go. Give us another notch of flaps. 2,500 is verified. Not going to be able to see much of this approach, unfortunately. It's a pretty nice approach coming into San Diego, but it looks like they're having some poopy weather. We're going to miss the heart of this storm, it looks like. Runway is just off the side of the storm here. The meat of it, it's here off to the north-ish area, so we should be good. Go ahead and go flaps full. Go ahead and drop our gear. Spoilers are set. Engine should be kicking up here. You got to keep us up 140. Don't want to slow down too much. All right, so landing checklist. Gear down 3 green. Auto brakes are set. Spoilers are armed. Flaps are full. Cabin crew is advised. I do not have the runway in sight yet. Problem is, I don't have a glide slope here. It only keeps me lined up at the runway, but I have no idea where my glide slope's at. I'm 5 miles out. We should be hitting the cloud ceiling here pretty shortly. Once we do, I'll turn the autopilot off. But I can't hand fly it while I'm blind. Put it down to our decision height. Obviously, if we hit that, we can't see the runway, then we're going to have to go around. All right, I see buildings. High. Man, it is some shitty weather. I gotta get us down. Problem is, I don't see the runway. I have no visual. I have no visual of this runway. There it is. Oh my goodness. We should be going around here. Nope, we're good. We're good. Man, the winds are bad. Alright, we're going around. Get us up to 2,500 feet. Bring the gear in. Limerick Tower United 7488 is going around. We have no visual runway. Alright, so let's... Limerick Tower United 7488. Did I disconnect? Okay, he's not responding to me, so we're gonna go up to 5,000. Oops. Bring our flaps in. Speed, we'll keep it at 250 knots. Yes, I hear you. This is where you just have to trust your instruments, because we just have no visual of anything. Limerick Tower, United 7488. Radio check. Okay, I don't know why the tower's not responding to me. I'm definitely still on the network. As long as we're above 2,500 feet here, we're good. I'm I'm just going to maintain 5,000 feet at 250 knots. If the weather doesn't clear up, I can always divert. Turning off. Why are we still climbing? I want to hold 5,000 feet. I don't understand why. Still climbing and I'm losing airspeed. Yep, I know. I don't know why I'm still climbing. Yep, it's definitely on climb. I don't know why you're yelling at me. Okay, it should. God, I hate the click spots. Okay, I want to go down to 5,000 feet. I don't know why I'm still climbing. Like, completely confused at this point. Tempted to go ahead and divert. I have no idea why I'm still on the climb. Like, I'm at 10,000 feet, I'm still climbing out, I have no idea why. I'm going to go ahead and start turning back. Oh, my autopilot disconnected. I don't have my autopilot on the entire time. That is exactly what the problem was. Unreal. This is what happens when you don't do go-arounds ever. Let's go ahead and start turning back. I'm just gonna go 180. What a disaster. Well, this is only like, this maybe the second time I've ever had to go around on VATSIM. Here's the rain again. I'm gonna keep on this heading for now. I'm actually gonna get up to 250. And we're just gonna have to vector ourselves back over to San Diego. We can try it one more time. If we don't make it, then we're gonna have to divert. The weather is just extraordinarily shitty right now. And I don't know if Xplane's weather is calculating the cloud properly, because per the METAR that I pulled up, the ceiling should have been 2,500 feet, and it should have been scattered. Like, it shouldn't have been like dense fog at runway level. Like, it doesn't make any sense. What am I doing here? The rain is so loud. I have to turn it like all the way down, basically. All right, let's do this. Actually gonna go 90 degrees. And I'm gonna... The tower never responded to me. I don't know what happened. Like, no clue. It looks like the weather's moving in more. Let me refresh the weather here. Ceiling 2,400 feet AGL, few clouds at 700 feet. Like, I just never broke through it. Like, I barely saw the runway and I was way off course, and then the winds decided to push me off course. There's no way I would have landed that. 208.7 is the altimeter. Basically, I'll just rejoin their arrival, so I'll probably get to Lindy, and then I'll just turn right around and try it again. I don't know what else to do. Make sure there's no terrain to worry about. No, we should be good. So ordinarily, I would have probably had to do the hold procedure, which is right here. And we would just basically circle around until the weather cleared up. I don't want to do that. But in real life, that's most likely what would have happened. Would have also helped if I would have put the damn autopilot back on. And not have been an idiot, but it is what it is. We got to figure it out. So we'll just stay on this heading for now. Got about 30 miles until we get back. I'm just going to follow this right back into 27 and try it again, and hopefully it's not as bad, because we were right on the edge of it. Like, this was like right here when we passed it, so it's definitely moving back inwards. So I'm hoping by the time we circle back around and get to the runway, it'll be cleared up. If it's not, then I may just take us to LA. LA is not that far away, or Ontario. I'm more familiar with LA. The only thing is it's just programming the FMC. So I should be able to pull up a secondary flight plan, but it's not here. So we'll fiddle around with it if it gets to that point. I really don't want to have to divert, so I'm kind of hoping this clears up. I've never landed in San Diego with that kind of weather. I mean, obviously it rains in San Diego, but usually it's not that hectic. You heard the ground proximity warning going off. It always goes off. And I don't know if it's the scenery I have, or if it's just because it's just a shitty approach. I may actually turn around sooner, because I said I was going to go to Lindy. I may just go in right around here and start my descent a little bit before I hit that. Because per the radar, there's really nothing over the airport. All this junk is farther out. So I'm hoping it clears up. So in these kind of situations, you just gotta have to monitor fuel We're still very good on fuel, still have plenty of time. We're going to tap into our reserves here relatively soon, but it's plenty of reserves. And it just so happens that we picked an airport that doesn't have a local or doesn't have ILS on that side. And if you come in on the other side of San Diego, runway 9 has a localizer, or it has an ILS, but the winds have to make sense. Otherwise, you know, you forget about it. Let me pull ATIS back up and see if they updated anything, because Tower never responded to me. I let him know that we went around and he basically ignored it. You know, I'm not gonna pull ATIS up. To hell with it. I don't feel like messing with the radios. I mean, clearly the winds favor 27. Runway 9 makes no sense. We're going to make our turn in here soonish. I'm going to go ahead and actually bring us down a little bit. Bring us down to 3,600 feet. Just do it nice and easy. Start our left turn. I'm going to reduce our speed to, let's just put us at 190 for now. Lights are still on, auto brake is still set, I still have the spoiler set. I'll draw the flaps in once we get below 230 knots. Let's try this shit again, if not then we'll see. Actually, we can go to 340. Should be fine. And I'm just going to join us right back on here. Got us at 3,600 going right there. All right, flaps 1.
2,500.
Go ahead and put us on 27. Actually put us back on the localizer. Little off course, but we're fine. I may just disconnect from VATSIM because he couldn't be bothered to respond to me when I called the go around. Let's go ahead and get our final approach speed in here. I think it's at 144. Yep. Flaps 2. Yeah, we're just gonna disconnect from VATSIM. Flaps 3. Flaps full. gear down. Should be grabbing the localizer here pretty soon. There it goes. Alright, so we got the localizer grabbed, so it'll turn us in, and then we'll just have to monitor the glide slope again. It's a little bit high vertical speed, but I'm trying to see if I can't get a damn visual going. She'll just take us down to our decision altitude again. Still have no visual. I'm at 2,500. The weather looks like it's moved off. It's just clouds at this point. I can still hear the rain though. Alright, so I'm 4 miles out. I do not have a visual. There we go. Visual. My airplane. Okay. Happy lights say I'm high. Gear down 3 green. Auto brakes are set. Spoilers are armed. Flaps are full. Checked. Happy lights still say I'm high. I don't know if I trust you.
Terrain.
Yep.
Terrain.
Yeah, the PAPI lights clearly aren't working.
Terrain.
Put some rudder in on this.
Terrain.
Yep. Landing.
Terrain.
Readjust here. Man, we gotta crab this.
Terrain.
Alright, full reverse. And those winds are no joke. Alright, stow the reversers. Use the full runway almost. I almost had to pull back up and go around again because I crapped it there at the very end, man. The winds are no joke. We get plenty of room though, but still. Alright, so we're finally on the ground in San Diego with no help from tower. Just gonna park us right here for a second. Put all that back in. Brakes look good. Let's go ahead and start the APU, turn the APU bleed on. Taxi lights. Good to go there. I'm just about to pick a gate. Alright, so that was fairly dramatic. I'm gonna cheat, I'm just gonna go right here. Cut the taxi lights. I gotta get the ground steering or the braking figured out on this thing. Okay. Parking brake, kill the engines. Find the flick spots. Alrighty. Well, we made it to San Diego, one way or another. Turn the brake fans on. That was interesting to say the least. I think that's only the second or third time I've ever had to go around on VATSIM. So we're going to take a look at that landing here, because I'm curious to see what it looked like. Because, man, that was some kind of shit, man. And the runways here are funky, because the landing spot's like way over there. Yeah, I mean, look at the wind. Pushing, 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 and then I finally floated her in. And then I decided to slam it to the ground because I had to get it on the ground. Once you pass that marking, you have to go around again. So if you don't hit it by the time you hit that spot right there, then you got to go around. You're not gonna have enough runway. So the runway here is extended like this just because of all the buildings here. So you got to clear all that, and then your landing spot's right here. So it looked good right there, and then the winds, man, are really hard to correct for sometimes. So, was it my best landing? No. Was it my worst landing? No.
Terrain.
So right here is where you want to land, right here
Terrain.
on the marks. But your landing zone is right here. So as long as you make it in that, you're fine.
Terrain.
40,
Terrain.
30, 20, 10.
Man, I tell you what, I maybe should have gone around again. I mean, I overflared it there. I mean, technically I didn't make it. Technically it looks like I didn't make that, but the hell with it. Alright everybody, well, appreciate you watching, and being a part of the drama that is flying airplanes. So hopefully everybody likes it. And I appreciate you watching once again, and everybody have themselves a great day.